Hello Reddit, and hopefully GGG if you're watching this, and I really do hope you do. Uh, this is going to be a kind of an angry video that I didn't really want to make. I struggled for quite a while with what I wanted to say. It's going to be a lot less angry though, because, well, I have a cat right over here now, and it's kind of really hard to be angry when you have an adorable little kitty sleeping right in front of you. Yeah, his name is Thor. He is awesome. But I did want to talk about the state of the game. I made a video like this before, after Expedition League. I will link that in the description of this video. I do encourage you to watch that, because I'm not really going to be repeating myself compared to that video. I talk mostly about crafting, the experience of creating your own items, and why that was such a big deal for a player like me that doesn't really do that. Never really could afford to do that. We're back to that point of the game, but that's not this video. For this video, I want to talk about the problems that exist in Path of Exile. Problems that are not being addressed. The ones that GGG doesn't know about or doesn't understand because they're not looking at the game from the perspective of a player. They're looking at it from the perspective of a dev and seeing Empyrean's group make billions of exalts, dropping insane items, thousands of uniques per map, and thinking, oh no, this is a problem. This is a bad thing for the game. It's unhealthy. When those uniques flooding the market is the only thing that makes them affordable to other players. Because God knows, you're never going to find one on your own. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So I want to talk about the main issues with the game that are just not really being discussed. There are plenty of issues with Lake of Calandra that many content creators have discussed before. I'm not really a streamer. I'm not a content creator. I don't have that kind of time. I would love to do it, play Path of Exile all day, every day, but that's not my life. However, I still have opinions that I think are hopefully valid because I represent the majority of the player base. And I'm pretty confident in saying that the majority of the mapping player base plays like I do. Maybe play a lot at League launch, and then after that, a couple hours a day, maybe. If that, maybe 20 hours a week. That's a part-time job. But what are the pain points then? What are the pain points for me, and not just me, but people that want to play as much as me but don't? People that get into the game but then get frustrated and leave. That's most of my friends that I've introduced to the game. They've all loved it, but they all leave. And there are several reasons for that. The first one I want to talk about is rolling new characters. So, like I do pretty much every league, I spent the week before the league just agonizing over what character to play. I had three builds I wanted to play this league. I wanted to try Hollow Palm, I wanted to try Righteous Fire. I've played this game for 10 years, I've never played Righteous Fire. And I wanted to try Summon Raging Spirits, which I have played before, but haven't in a long time, literally not since they were introduced. But I spent a week thinking about which build I wanted to go with. It was a really difficult decision. You might be saying, why not just play all three? Well, people don't play three builds in the league. I don't play three builds. I play one because it takes so goddamn long to gear that build. When I pick a league starter, I am making that decision for the next 3 months. That's ridiculous. In a game where there are billions upon billions of possible builds. Oh my god, he's so cute. Sorry. There are billions of builds. I could literally finish a build a day for the rest of my life and not get through half of the possible builds in the game. Maybe not even half of the melee builds that are possible. And yet, the game doesn't want me to. It wants me to play one character and push that one character as far as it can go. Because it takes weeks, months, potentially, to finish gearing that character if you're not a top 1% 12-hour a day player. But there's so many builds I want to try. But I don't want to go through the campaign again. It's bad enough if I have to do it every league, but I accept doing it once per league. I don't want to do another 5 to 10 hour campaign, maybe even more. It took me 15 hours to get through the campaign this time. Not because I was doing things all inefficiently, I was just trying to explore the new mechanic and do stuff with that. I was also doing other things while having PoE open, so my playtime is a bit skewed, but the point being, that's a lot of time. I just replayed Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. That took me about 20 hours to do literally everything in the game. And yet, want me to spend half of that or more just to get to maps on one character? Like I said, once per league, sure. But who wants to do that a second time? Or a third time? Or a fifth time? And yet there's so many builds I want to try. Because right after that, though, you have to gear that character. If you haven't geared it on your first character by farming up items forever, you have to do it on the next character. And it's a miserable experience. The game does everything it can to push you away from that, which makes no sense to me. Path of Exile is a game of builds, of possibilities, of cool interactions and interesting combinations. It used to be GGG would showcase builds that were interesting and cool because they were interesting and cool, not because they were super powerful. I mean, they showcased a cast on death build, for fuck's sake. Sorry, language. A cast on death build. Of course, now, years later, cast on death is meta for a league, and suddenly it gets nerfed. God, that's a joke. Because cast on death is too powerful for the game. It just takes so long to make a new character. It's so frustrating to have to farm that gear yourself. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But the trade for it is just as frustrating. I'll talk about that in a bit as well. But a lot of it, though, is things that you don't really think about as an experienced player, as an entrenched player, and you definitely don't think about as a dev. Like socket colors and links. Going through the campaign, it's a pain in the ass to get the right socket colors and the right links. Not to mention the right resists. You know what was really good for that? Harvest during the campaign. You could level very easily in Harvest. But now you can't even make leveling gear for an alt through Harvest like that. I mean, that's ridiculous. Socketing gear is probably one of the most frustrating things in this game. It always has been. It was more justifiable back in the day, but in today's game, where you need a 6 link, you need at least a 5 link to make gear usable, if it's a chest or a 2-hander. But it's so goddamn difficult. Getting the right colors you need is a pain in the ass. If you're going through the campaign as a new player, and you just want to use your gems, well, tough luck. You don't know how to get your gem sockets correct. Hell, even if you do, I mean, I spent, 2 acts trying to get the right colors on a 4-link for my leveling build? That's insane. I know what I'm doing, and yet spending my currency did nothing. And I sure as hell wasn't getting anything from drops. It was a miserable time. And yeah, a lot of that has to do with the loot changes, but even still, just getting the socket colors and links I needed was a pain in the butt. But what you really don't understand is that 5 and 6 links are mandatory. If you're a lucky, super insanely lucky person, and you find a wearable chest piece with a lot of life, a lot of resists, a lot of whatever, or a cool influence mod, or a cool something mod, if that gear, if that chest piece is not linked, it's trash. It's literal trash. You vendor it. Because God knows you're not going to be able to link it yourself. or it's going to be way too expensive to link yourself, and you may as well just buy a better one. That's ridiculous. Even back in Harvest League, I had an insane chest that I spent the entire league crafting, and yet I never used it because I never was able to link it. But you just keep hiding 6 links and 5 links behind everything. Once you have a 6 link, you can't go back to a 5 link. You lose 30% more damage, 40% more damage. You're not getting that value out of your chest piece. You're not making up that much damage without that link. Socket links are the most important thing for damage and for survivability. Because, well, damage is survivability even in hardcore, but even still, like, you can't not have access to 6 links. Easy access, not through trade. Doing it yourself. Part of the main problem with loot is that 6 linking sucks. If you find that great chest, you can't use it. That's a terrible, terrible feeling. But let's talk more about trade. Because trade is really the biggest, worst problem in the game. And it's not just that it's a frustrating experience. That is certainly a part of it. The fact that it's kept intentionally frustrating, absolutely a part of the reason. But a lot of it is the fact that you need to trade. Oh my god, cat, please. Please don't ruin my notes. Thank you. I'm sorry. He's really cute, but he's a menace. You need to trade. Because God knows you're not finding gear on your own. And now, with Harvest gutted, you're not crafting it on your own. You weren't before, but you're definitely not now. Essences are not cutting it. Sorry, I realized that I had forgotten, well, I say forgotten, but my cat deleted part of my notes, that the main problem with relation to trade is that the game is no longer about playing for fun, playing to find loot, and it hasn't been for years. What people play Path of Exile for now is profit. Wealth per hour. Wealth per hour is the only stat that matters. How many exalts are you making, or divines, I guess? How much are you making per hour? How fast can you make currency? Because currency is the end-all, be-all. You need currency to buy gear, you need currency to craft gear. Crafting. It's all about making currency. It's not about finding items, it's not about getting items, it's about money. Path of Exile is a job. It's a goddamn job. You're doing a repetitive task for currency. That's not how I play the game. I play the game for fun. That's how I want to play the game, but the way I play the game not only isn't being rewarded, it's not being anything at all. It's being punished, in fact. You don't juice your maps, you get shit. You don't magic find, you get nothing. But now even if you do magic find, you get nothing. It's ridiculous. It's very, very silly. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled rambling. Here, let me show you something. This, right here. Oop. Hey, cat, please, thank you. This is my helmet. It has +1 almond skill gems. It is item level 35. I am level 80. Level 80. I have not found a better helmet than this since Act 3. And I have picked up and identified every single helmet that I have come across. Every single one. Not found one. Not even one with minion skill gems on it. Not one. Now, is that a stat I necessarily need? No. But I have it, and I want to upgrade from this piece of gear. And yet, despite picking up every single helmet and using essences on every base I could find, I haven't found a single upgrade for this piece of gear from Act 3. In the 10 years I've been playing this game, I don't recall ever using such low level gear in late game content. And this wasn't the only piece. In fact, it took me forever to find an amulet with enough strength to replace the one I had in Act 3. Can you believe that? Can you believe that shit? Oh, and by the way, I had to essence craft this one. I didn't even find it. What a joke. What a joke the loot system is. Keep talking about how great the item system is at a base. It's garbage. It's only salvaged by the gameplay. And the fact that, yes, finding better items is fun. But getting them yourself is a pipe dream. And the new Lake of Kalandra mirrored stuff should really emphasize how awful it really is to find rare items. Because you somehow managed to make a system that is worse than finding rare items, because half of the mods are going to be bad anyway, and most of the other mods, even the positive ones, are probably going to be useless to you anyway. So you have to hit the jackpot twice, essentially, on the same item just to have it usable. All the rest of my gear, it's nothing special. It's just trash I picked up. This is probably the best thing I have, and it's a freaking terrible belt. I have my tabula rasa, which I bought. I have this wand, which I had to buy because I still haven't found my trigger socketed spell and use a skill. Rather, I still haven't gotten any betrayal to progress my betrayal stuff, even though I've been my Atlas passage tree is entirely spec for betrayal. That's another story. That's not this video. But like, I found this. I got lucky as hell. The rest of my gear is nothing, essentially. Picked it up in, like, tier 1 maps. I think one or two of these. Item level 53. These are the best freaking boots that I've been able to find, because I don't want to trade if I don't absolutely have to. The only reason I even bought this wand is because I needed the triggers. And I bought the tabula rasa. Well, I bought the cards for it, but still, I needed the 6 link, because I wasn't doing enough damage. Can you believe that? I wasn't doing enough damage. Hang on. First off, I just want to... Oh my god, cat, please. Put it in perspective. I am in yellow maps, alright? I'm in yellow maps. I haven't even made it to tier 8s yet. Okay? And let me do something. Let me open up Path of Building. Give me 1 second. Where are you? There we go. Path of Building. Import character, yada yada yada. Okay, so this is my current build. Alright. I'm trying to work around my cat's head here, I'm sorry. Let's get Summon Raging Spirit. Obviously, I just imported this, so I don't have any calculations up at all. Including full DPS, let's say 20. Because I've been pretty easily get to 20 Summon Raging Spirits. And let's say I'm fighting one mob, an Arch Nemesis mob. How much DPS do I have? Hey, 1.2 million. I spent 5 minutes killing an Arch Nemesis rare earlier. 5 minutes. 5 full minutes on the same rare. The same rare in a tier, I think it was a tier 6 map. I have 1.2 million DPS, and that's without anything. That's no configuration here. Let's see. With my fire exposure for Wave of Conviction, let's say 1.3 million. Cool. With Feeding Frenzy. 1.5. Alright, this is, enemy is, maybe I should do Guardian Pinnacle Boss, because obviously that's what a rare is. Okay. 910k, sure. But I also use Shock Nova to shock. Let's throw that on there. 60% effective shock. Wait, look, 1.3 million again. Let's see, what else? This is not even like, I have Intimidate on my gloves, but I'm not even clicking that. Let's see, there's another 100k. And yet it took me 5 minutes, 5 minutes, to kill a single rare mob. That's absurd. Now, I have a really good build. Summon Raging Spirits, the reason I picked it as my League starter is because I know it was a good build, and I didn't want to risk playing a bad one. Or playing one I didn't like Righteous Fire. Really, cat. I had no idea if I was going to like Righteous Fire. I knew I was going to like this, so I decided to stick with it for the entire league. Reason I didn't try Hollow Palm, even though I really wanted to, I've wanted to since it came out, it's because the unique drops were nerfed, and I had no idea if I was going to be able to get those uniques. Spoiler alert, I probably wouldn't, especially not on my own. But look at this. This is horrible. That I have that much damage, and I couldn't do crap. So let's hang on. This is there we are. Community feedback. Let's take a look at what you're actually doing about this. The answer is essentially nothing. Oh, you lowered the life bonus. The life bonus isn't what's doing it, it's the massive resistance bonus. The life bonus hurts, but it's the resists and the ignoring all the shit I'm doing. That's the problem. Fun. Making essence a bit better, sure. Better in the campaign. Absolutely fantastic. Empowering minions shouldn't be found anywhere ever because the stupid ass mod literally does nothing but just add additional shit that you have to pay attention to while you're dead because it already killed you. Sure. Reducing life again for red beasts. Why? This right here should tip you off that you screwed up with Arch Nemesis. Now, people have talked about this at length, but this right here should be the real thing that is a red-ass flag. The reddest of flags. You're not even spawning rares in certain encounters. Because they're too much. That's ridiculous. That is... If that doesn't tell you that Arch Nemesis was a mistake, I don't know what the hell would. You're not even spawning rares in those encounters. That's ridiculous. Of course, this doesn't do anything to address Harvest. People have talked about this at length. But this is just insulting. This is absolutely insulting. And this tells me that you know nothing about how your game is played by the majority of players. Because we're not crafting shit. A base item is not what we're looking for. I've identified the worst bases I can find. Guess what? Still no +1 minion gems. Still no fucking anything useful, really. Just using trash. And this is not going to change a goddamn thing. Not a goddamn thing. Quite impactful, eh? I honestly don't know where to go from here. I love Path of Exile. I really do. I've played it since 2012. But there are things that need to change, and I want to put this into perspective. GGG if you're watching this. When Path of Exile first came out, Diablo 2 was around 10 years old, give or take. We're 10 years into Path of Exile now. 10 years. It's time, just as it was then, to look at the things that original Path of Exile did wrong. Look at those fundamental mechanics and change them. It's time to say, hey, 10 years ago, this was a good idea. It's not anymore. It's time to look at the modern game and understand that the old philosophy doesn't work. We're not playing that game anymore. We haven't been for some time. Stop trying to bring us back, because you're only alienating everyone that has stuck by you for this long. When it's streamers that have played this game as their job leaving, what else is it going to take? What else is it going to take for you to course correct? I honestly don't know. This got more rambly than I expected it to. I apologize. I do hope that you watch the other video as well. I don't really care about the views. I just want to get that point across about crafting and how good it made me feel. I loved crafting in Harvest League, man. It was great. Thanks for watching if you stuck with me this far. And hopefully I'll see you back in Rayclast. Hopefully.